right, y'all. What did I want to talk about today? Oh yeah, I had to think about that. I've been out here doing too much. See, this is what happens when you be out here doing too much. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about plant propagation. I'm really trying to understand what's going on. Anyway, so today I want to talk about plant propagation. So I'm not going to necessarily say this topic is for beginning gardeners per se, but it can be. I guess it just depends on how adventurous you are. I know some people are not going to venture into this until later on in their gardening journey. I know that's how I was pretty much. But plant propagation is something that you definitely want to think about doing. So you might say, plant propagation, first of all, what is that? If you don't know what it is. So let's say you have an existing plant. Let's say you have a kale plant. And yeah, you could wait for that to go to seed, if it goes to seed, because I've had kale that goes to seed and some that doesn't. I have one plant, that 8-year-old kale plant, it's never gone to seed. That was a Bonnie start that I assume it was a hybrid. I don't know if it was a hybrid or it's a genetic anomaly or what. I don't know what it was, because you have to understand, you just have to trust what these labels say that the plant is. That don't mean that is what the plant is, but it just never went to seed. So anytime that plant branches out into, actually, let's start with making some plants do those things. In order to make your brassicas branch, just cut the top out of them. If you cut the top out of them, it's the same thing with any plant, really. Just like when you see people talk about pruning trees or bushes or whatever, once you cut the tip off, instead of the energy going to the primary growth, which is the tips, it'll then start pushing growth into the branches. And if it doesn't have any branches, where you see those buds will start to branch out. It's the same concept with, I think I said something about I pinched the tips out of my figs before. That's why I did that, to make it actually bush instead of continuing to grow tall. A plant primarily will try to grow tall and reach the sun versus branch out. Now they do branch out, but their primary goal is to be priority to where they can get the sunlight that they need. So that's first of all. Cut the top out, make it branch out. Once you got some branches, now I'm talking brassicas right now in specific, break that branch off and shove it in the dirt and keep it moist. Well, take off a lot of the leaves and you will have an identical, they would start mowing. You will have an identical plant as to what you have, because understand, even when you save seeds genetically, that plant may not be exactly the same as the plant you got it from. So let's say there's a plant that does everything that you want it to do, and you want to be able to keep that plant, because you never know what may happen. A freeze could come, something could eat it up, just anything. And if you only got one, then you'll lose that plant. But if you go ahead and propagate it, you could have a couple of other ones. So if you lose the one, you won't be so stressed about, ooh, I lost that whole plant, now I don't have it anymore. You may be able to get something similar, but you may not be able to get the exact same plant again. It's the same thing with certain trees or certain plants that are fairly rare. Different fruit tree varieties and things like that. You could clone that tree, either take an air layer or take a cutting and root a cutting. And keep in mind, when it comes to fruit trees, certain cuttings are going to root more easier than other cuttings. So that's something to take into consideration. But most trees, you can get them to air layer, or you can do something with them. That way that you can have that to go forward. Because like for instance, your trees may get old, they may get struck by lightning, another tree may fall on them, you may move, you know, you never know what may be the circumstance. And if you move, you may not be able to dig up all of your trees, but you could take some cuttings, or if you know you're gonna move, you know, a few months in advance, do you some air layers. Then when you're ready to go, cut those branches off and plant them wherever you're going. So propagation is important to make sure that you continue. Now it's planes flying over. I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff going on. But anyway, ooh, it smells like pot roast. They must be mowing down some of them onions back there. Anyway, so plant propagation becomes very important if you want to like have more than one of a plant that you really like. Number two is twofold really. If you want to share plants with somebody, you'll have something that you could potentially give to them. Versus if you don't know how to propagate at all, you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage, in my opinion, because you can't really barter. If you into bartering, I am. But so, you know, you could offer plants to other people. If people are just starting their garden and you want to gift them things, or maybe they see something in your garden that they want and they're already a gardener, you know, you can either propagate it for them, you can show them how to propagate it, however you want to do. Or maybe you already got some babies. To piggyback off of that, you can make you some money. For instance, if you got a mulberry or a fig, those things grow so fast and are so productive, especially mulberries. Mulberries, until I planted one and it escaped the pot and got into the ground, I had no clue. In 2 years, that thing was way bigger than I would have ever guessed that it would have been. So mulberries grow very fast. Also, to make them fruit more, the more you prune them, the more they will fruit. So if you propagate your cuttings, you're gonna prune it anyway, especially if you're trying to keep it contained to a certain area, or if you're trying to keep limbs down where you can actually reach them, because some mulberries, if it's not a dwarf, they're gonna get so tall that you won't be able to reach your fruit, and the birds will just eat it up. And probably the squirrels too, I assume they eat them too. But if you were to take those cuttings and propagate them, because mulberries are so easy to propagate, you pretty much just cut them and shove them in the dirt, more or less, and keep them moist, and generally they will root for you. You may not have 100% success, but in my experience, even not knowing what I was doing, about 80% success rate on those. So same thing with figs. If you will just take your fig cuttings, cut them, jam them in the dirt, and then put your bag or something on top of them to make sure that the moisture stays in. You want like a nice greenhouse type environment so that they don't dry out. Figs will almost root for you, in my experience, 90% of the time. The only time I've ever had figs to not root, another thing, don't put them in the direct sun. Put them in indirect sunlight. They need sunlight, but they don't need full sun. That'll stress them. But you can then take those cuttings and sell them. Even if you selling, how many times y'all bought stuff online and stuff be so little and people charging $20 and $25? That's a hustle. I'm just here to tell you that's a hustle. I can't tell you how much. The only time I don't make money in this garden is when I don't feel like it. Like sometimes I feel like doing it and I'll be making money hand over fist, and then other times I'll be like, and I don't be, you know, I'm not doing a whole lot of propagating, not doing a whole lot of cuttings. But now that I started grafting these apple trees and doing all this, and like I said, I took out my prunings from the mulberry, and I've got some more varieties of mulberry, so I'm gonna have several, you know, different. I don't need all of these mulberry trees, and then the ones I am gonna have, I'm gonna be constantly pruning, cuttings. And if you go online, to be honest, it's highway robbery. Some of these people, what they're charging for some cuttings. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I just bought some white Chateau mulberries. 10 cuttings, which he sent me some extras. The dude was generous. He sent me some extras. He sent me maybe 13. I ordered 10. He sent me maybe 13, maybe 14. $55. Free shipping. See what I'm saying? Now, I wouldn't sell mine quite that high. But some of these varieties are not varieties that you see every day of the week. So that being said, that's a hustle. You know what I'm saying? And some of them you don't even have to root them. Like the cuttings that I got, they would just just tell, he just prune them off his tree and send them. You know, that's a hustle. So, you know, be thinking about these things. If you prune your citrus tree, if you prune anything, come here, Chris. Come on, wait. Tell the people hello. But yes, y'all, so propagation is not only for you, it can be for other people. To be honest, that's how some people get their nursery started, even if it's just a seasonal thing. Same thing with like strawberries. When they throw runners, depending on how many strawberry plants you have, you may not need all of those runners. You could turn around and sell those plants come spring, because everybody knows if you gardening, generally you're gonna spend something. I mean, I try to be frugal. This is the first time in a few years that I've spent this amount of money that I spent. I didn't spend, it's not a ton. I may have spent $200 total on the garden this year buying new plants. And I may spend another 30 or 40, but I'm tapering off here. But I'm hoping to make up the difference by selling some of this stuff, selling those Pakistan mulberries, and selling I got a few other things I want to sell. I got some scion wood I'm gonna try to sell. So, you know, all of this stuff is just, you know, things that you should think about. And I would be honest, I would press you to think about them sooner rather than later, because I know what some people think. Oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing, blah blah blah. If you cutting a branch off a tree, you're not gonna kill the whole tree, so give it a try. You know what I mean? There's plenty of YouTube videos that show you how to propagate or how to root various types of cuttings, or most of this stuff will root. If you just cut a branch off of something, break a branch off and shove it in some water or shove it in some dirt. Some things are trickier than others, but I guarantee you between figs, mulberries, people are saying that the citrus are easy to root. I've seen them just putting the citrus in water. Now, I haven't tried it myself, so I'm not going to say anything, but I know that those mulberries, those figs, all those things are easy to propagate. Strawberries, those little runners, just shove their little roots down in the soil, and when they take off good, clip them, and they're their own little plant. So to me, propagation goes hand in hand with seed saving. Because yeah, you want to save seeds, but sometimes it's better off to just go from a plant, just like tomatoes. When you see people breaking the suckers off the tomatoes and rooting them, that's propagation. You know, maybe you like that tomato, and maybe you want to just take that little sucker, overwinter it in the house, and then bring it back out in the spring. You don't have to start from seed now. You're going to be ahead of the game. So when all your frost is clear, you can plant that little sucker that you overwintered over the winter, plant him out in the garden, he ready to go. You don't have to go from seed. You know what I'm saying? So it can be a time saver, it can be a money maker, and it also kind of hones some of your gardening skills. Because every little skill that you get and you get proficient at, trust me when I say it builds your confidence. And so, you know, anything that can build your confidence helps you in your day-to-day life. So I just wanted to, share that with y'all. Right now I have a lot of cuttings going. Most of them are mulberries. I have some grape cuttings. This is the first time I've ever done grape cuttings. I see that they are blooming. The buds are opening. So that's a good sign that they're starting to do what they are supposed to do. I'm trying to think, is it anything else? Propagate like bananas. Let's not forget that. Your pups. Sometimes your bananas have too many pups. you can always cleave those pups. Your banana, you really shouldn't have but 1 or 2 pups at the time. You shouldn't have 5, 6, and bananas will do that. They'll throw a whole bunch of them. Cleave those little pups off and sell them suckers. You see how much bananas sell for? They sell for good money. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid. I keep trying to tell you, you better have more than 1 income. I keep trying to tell y'all that. Y'all not hearing me. You don't never know. Your job may tell you to kick rocks. You don't never know. You know what I'm saying? Or you may get in a funk to where, you know, whatever you do, you ain't really feeling it. You know? So I always have you more than 1 income. It may not seem like much, but if you get $25 or $30, that's a little bit of gas, a little bit. Or a few little snacks at the store, or some fertilizer, or, you know, anything. Even if you just took your money you earned from the garden and put it back into the garden. It's something. So if anybody has any questions, concerns, comments, put them down in the comment section below. And I encourage everybody, please read the comment section. It's always a wealth of knowledge, because my viewers, most of my viewers are gardeners themselves. Even if they're just starting, even the questions that they ask, I generally respond to the vast majority of my comments. So please, please, please read the comments. If you have anything to say below in the comments, just post it down there. And until next time, see you guys later.